The Princess Guide is the 15th episode of the 26th season of The Simpsons, directed by Timothy Bailey. And in general, I didn't care for it. I didn't hate it, but there really wasn't anything that I particularly cared about. Mr. Burns is trying to make a deal with a Nigerian king, and he needs somebody to look after his daughter, Princess Kemi, voiced by Yaya DaCosta. And because Lisa happens to be at the power plant that day, and Mr. Burns sees Homer being a really good father, he decides that Homer is the person to look after this princess. And obviously, Homer takes her to Moe's, and Moe becomes quite smitten with her, and she becomes quite fascinated by him. And they end up spending a lot of time together, and that's it. That's all that happens. It's not interesting at all. There's nothing about the narrative that I thought was fascinating. And even Princess Kemi, I felt was... Sometimes she was interesting, but sometimes I felt like she was really boring and definitely didn't add any comedy. There was no humour in her character. I found that not only did she not provide any comedy, but anything else that anybody else said that was funny kind of didn't bounce off of her the way it might have done with other characters. And, for example, if a character said something funny and the other character had a deadpan expression, that would further enhance the comedy. But with her, there was just nothing. I feel like she was a really badly written character, and I think the episode was relying too heavily on this whole Nigerian prince scam that Moe clearly got into. Credit to the episode for making people aware that is a scam, I guess. And I feel like the episode wanted us to rely too much on that, and then once they moved on from that, there just wasn't anything. It wasn't good. The narrative wasn't interesting at all, and Princess Kemi was not a well-written character. And that's it. That's basically all that happens. We do have some good bits with Smithers, but even then I feel like they over-milked that. The great thing about Smithers' relationship with Burns and his desires for Burns is that they're occasionally quite subtle, or they'll just allude to them, but with this one it just kept appearing again and again and again, and I love Smithers. And normally I like it when he has these, little thoughts about Burns, but it was constant. And it kind of took away from actually what worked so well with that character. So I think this was a badly written episode. And the characters, Princess Kemi, she wasn't interesting. I think she could have really worked as the character. But unfortunately, I just don't think she was written well enough. And I didn't hate the episode. It's not like I was watching it thinking, this is the most bored I've ever been or anything. There was a small handful of Simpsons episodes that I genuinely hate. But this isn't one of them. But just because I didn't hate it doesn't mean it's very good. Richard Branson appears in it as well, which was fine. I thought Burns had a great response to Branson, actually. I think that worked very well. Credit where it's due. The bits with Branson were very well written and quite entertaining. The Princess Guide's not a good episode. It's not the worst episode, but if I never see it again, I'm not going to be that bothered.